So today we're going to talk about corporations and cultists.
That's one. What's the second one? It's because corporations are... Okay, whatever. Joke's not funny if we explain it, right?
No, we just rim shot it and go straight into it.
Cool.
Hi everyone, welcome to GameGorgon. My name's Indigo.
And I'm Krug!
And today we're here to talk to you about some more Starfinder themes. This time we're going full on into the Pact worlds. We're going to go over the corporation agent, and we're going to be going over the cultists.
Which are two incredibly terrifying real-world things that exist.
So the first thing we're going to go into is the corporate agent. You're going to get a +1 to charisma because you're schmarmy.
For the entirety of this episode, I'm going to be referring to the corporation as Google. Your campaign's corporation may vary.
First level, you're going to get a theme knowledge.
Yep.
You're going to be able to reduce the DC of your profession or your culture checks when recalling knowledge about your corporation.
Which is useful, I think, in certain situations, especially if Google is like doing things to harm a group of people. Oh, remember when Google did this thing to you? I think is really good for like intimidation checks and stuff like that. That is also something that you get later on in the theme.
At least so far, it's already very kind of narrow.
Yeah.
Because you're having to involve a large corporation. You can't really be like, we're a small ship that's going off into space and just discovering. You're like, nope, you're going to have to like scooch this in with your GM.
But I think the way that it describes the theme, it makes you sort of autonomous.
Sure.
Like you are an agent of the corporation, but unless they are specifically asking you for something, you're just representing their interests and not necessarily following their rules.
You're also going to have diplomacy as your class skill.
Yes.
And if you already have it because of your class, it's a +1.
Nice. At level 6, you're gonna get networking. This isn't the tech kind of networking. This is like the charisma side of networking. Like, hey
Schmarmy.
buddy. Yeah, schmarmy networking. Networking's basically going to allow you to find somebody that has information that your corporation doesn't. If your corporation doesn't have the information you're looking for, you probably know someone that does. You know, cool, reasonable, like your corporation has, you know, big arms that reach over a lot of different areas. It's only gonna take you 10 minutes to perform a diplomacy check as long as you have a contact in the infosphere, or if you have a way of quickly communicating with like a local branch or a local like settlement that has like a high enough technology level. Additionally, if you have access to the local infosphere, you can take a 20 on a recall knowledge in half the time, which is typically a minute. I think we both kind of agree that this is sort of meh.
It's all if you're a gatherer. If you're like, if you need information, if you like it can be good. Like an operative could be good in this position because it's like an operative's like, oh, let me figure out how to get into this base. Like I need the blueprints. Well, the corporation doesn't have it, but I know someone that does, and that could be helpful.
Yeah.
But like as a whole, I think it's very information based. It's very do I know a guy that knows a guy kind of a thing.
I think I would have preferred something that fit the like thematic nature of the level 12 a little bit more.
Sure.
Just something more like intimidating, more like I have this big superpower behind me. What are you going to do about me? Like
sure.
That makes me more powerful, even though you can't see it. That's the kind of flavor that I wanted from this. This doesn't really have that.
Sure.
This is more like I have a bureaucracy that I can like use to figure stuff out. Like cool, man. Like nifty.
Well, you mentioned level 12, so why don't we get into that, which is the Strongarm tactics. You're able to use the fact that you work for this giant corporation
Google,
and be able to slip it into an intimidation check, and your intimidation check is going to last 3 times as long if it's successful.
At level 18, you're gonna get Seal the Deal. Giggity. Up to twice per day if you spend 10 minutes either negotiating or researching the details of a deal that is advantageous to your corporation, you're gonna gain a resolve point. Really kind of depends on what your corporation does, I think, at this
Google,
point. Whether,
which is everything.
Which is everything, right? Like if you're an arms dealer and you're trying to like smuggle munitions to a certain location and you're trying to set up a corrupt agent at a dock or something, and you're trying to deal with that person, that's gonna be difficult. If your giant corporation makes blankets and like other home goods, and you're trying to negotiate a discount on supplies to make those home goods, that's gonna be a little bit easier.
Sure.
Those are two really stupid extremes, but you see what the point is, that like that can have an effect on the difficulty of this check.
As a whole, I'm not the biggest fan of this theme. I think it's hyper specific, which again, we've gotten into Pact worlds, which means there are enough themes out there to choose from.
Yep.
That's going to be able to give you, like, depending on the game you're playing, depending on the group you're playing with, this might fit really well for it.
Yeah.
But as just like a blanket, just like what you think of when you think Starfinder and or like space role-playing game, this doesn't fit too well. So it's like...
It's trying to touch two different bases. I think it should have picked one. It should have either picked, I have a bureaucracy behind me that can help me do things as long as I follow these set of rules, or I have a big giant corporation that's mean, and if you mess with me, you're messing with them. How does that make you feel? If it had stuck to one of those, I think it would have been way better.
Yeah.
Next, we're talking about the Cultist, basically a member of Google. I'm sorry, YouTube, I didn't mean to. As a cultist, you're gonna get a +1 to con because you've probably been drinking like poison water for your entire life.
Or just been beaten and like just, I don't know. There's so much to go behind why con. It makes perfect sense.
Con makes tons of sense.
It makes perfect sense. At level 1, you're going to get a theme knowledge like you do with every other one. I know, very, very interesting. Reduce the DC for culture and mysticism checks against learning about a cult.
Yes.
And then you're going to reduce the DC by 5 for diplomacy checks to learn about hidden cults.
Yes.
It's kind of got a double, which I kind of really like.
Yeah.
I think this works really, really well.
If you're not dealing with cults.
It's kind of pointless.
Kind of pointless, unless you go and seek them out, like, specifically in your campaign.
Yeah, exactly. And then disguise is going to be your
class skill.
Your theme skill, and if it's already a class skill, then you get a +1 bonus to that.
Boom.
Makes sense.
Yeah. At level 6, you're gonna gain Cult Infiltrator. This is gonna make it easier for you to infiltrate hidden cults. If you spend 10 minutes talking with a member of a hidden cult, and you succeed a DC 25 culture check, you are going to like activate this feature. Any member of that hidden cult starts as indifferent towards you, and it's gonna make it so that you gain a +2 to bluff, intimidate, and diplomacy checks with any member of that cult. And that's from talking with one person.
Yeah.
So I imagine the roleplay for that is like you're learning about the cult from the person. Like, oh, what do you do? How does that make you feel? What the sensitive topics are, what the topics they like feel really powerfully about, and then like what they can joke about and what they can make fun of so that you don't step on any toes.
Well, and I think this works really well with the theme knowledge, which in a lot of cases I don't feel, I think theme knowledge is just like, cool, this is just how it works. These,
like
I feel it
synergized.
they stack really well on top of each other, and it makes it easier for you to be a cult infiltrator. It's funny because they call the cultist, but really the way that this has, like, the rest of the theme works out is literally like, how do you deal with cults?
Yeah.
Like, not that you are in one, but you were in one.
Yeah, more of an ex-cultist than a current cultist.
Exactly, exactly. At level 12, you're going to get exceptional endurance, where you get to re-roll a fortitude saving throw on poison, drugs, and diseases. Because guess what? You probably had to deal with these a lot.
Yep.
While you were in a cult. In fact, the flavor text that they add to it was like, yeah, because you've probably been drugged a bunch. Like, this is just how it works.
Can I roll to detect what flavor of poison is in this soup? They all succeed. They all just look over like, oh, this tastes like you're using this drug in this recipe. It's really good. Hey, did you try to kill me just now? We're gonna deal with that in a second. I'm gonna finish this soup because it's so tasty.
It's good, yeah.
At 18th level, you're gonna get Memoirs of Devotion. You're gonna be able to spend 10 minutes up to twice per day deliberating about your time as a cultist. That can either be as a conversation with another player, with an NPC, or by recording audio logs, meaning you don't have to have anybody else there, and you get a resolve point by doing that. This is super interesting because this is the one that gets the most of, you have to embody this character in order to recover a resolve point. You literally have to lament about your time as a cultist in order to gain a resolve point. I, as a GM, would be very, very lenient about the 10-minute thing. I would just be like, tell us a little bit about what you said to your audio log. 10 minutes of in-game time would pass, obviously, but if you just said like, well, I talked about the time that the leader pulled me aside and told me that the cult was a sham and that they were just doing this to gain money or something like that. Like, all of my beliefs were shattered because the leader never actually believed them. Explaining that to the party so that they have like a frame of reference about like what your personality is. I love this a lot. It's definitely not the best one mechanically.
No, it's just basically like I spend 10 minutes by myself.
And gain a resolve point.
When I think of this, I don't necessarily think of someone like sitting there reading or like someone like talking about it. I think of all of the movies that I've seen where there's like former cultists or like leaders or like former like like stuff where they like sit in a room and then just like cat of nine tails their own back,
Oh.
like thinking about like their own like oh I've sinned, because it's like still a part of you, and you're just like, oh, I've done this.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's how I imagine it.
I imagine that you imagine it that way because you know more about cults than I do.
I imagine it like that, but like as a GM, I would just be like, yeah, okay, cool. That's what you do for the next 10 minutes, and make it a part of the story of like how the group interacts with you, because that's really weird, really strange. I think it could add a lot of really fun, like interesting moments within it, and also
Especially
kind
if
of like
another player like finds the logs, that would be cool. Real quick, because I said that you know more about cults than I do. Indigo didn't used to be a part of the cult or any cult.
No,
he just is interested in cult, like.
Or was I?
Okay.
Or am I? The cult
Help.
of QueueTimes. No, I've been doing a lot of research on cults specifically for the Pathfinder campaign that I'm going to be doing. So I've spent a lot of time doing that because that's kind of the center of attention that I'm going to be putting together.
Excited.
I like Cultist a little bit better than I like the Corporate Agent.
Same.
They're both still kind of really hyper-specific to the situation, like depending on...
I think what this teaches us is that like mechanical quality of any theme like is good, and it helps me want to take it, but I want to play Cultist because of the synergy and because of the like really, really tight flavor, as opposed to the Corporate Agent, which is something that resonates with me more personally. The concept of it resonates with me more, but the way that it's built does not at all. Why don't you let us know which one you like better? Head down to the comments. Would you rather be a cultist or would you rather be a corporate agent? Is there a functional difference between those two things? Let us know down there. While you're down there, hit the like button if you like the video. Hit the subscribe button to help the channel grow big and strong. We just recently hit 2K subs. Give me some dap. Thank you. After you've done all that, you can go over to Twitter, talk to me over there at QueueQT.
You can join my cult on Twitter at IndigoQT, or you can join us on Discord and all of the following social medias here. Until next time, we've been GameGorgon. Bye.
Don't take anything Indigo offers you to drink.
Specifically punch.